Hello, everybody. This is Mark Lynn with Healthcare Business Specialist in Chattanooga. Welcome to today's RHC cost reporting session. It's on year-end planning. Some of the things you have to do before the end of the year to make sure you capture all of your reimbursement that you can possibly get. It's done by Healthcare Business Specialist here. Danny Gilbert and Mark Lynn will be doing the presentations today. We're thankful to Azalea Health for sponsoring this webinar. It allows us to do this without charging anybody anything, and hopefully they're going to help us get back on the road in the spring and do our normal free seminars that we do. We have one-day seminars, and typically we do them in Kentucky, Tennessee, Alabama, and go out and see you guys again for the first time in a couple of years. So if the Omicron variant doesn't wipe us all out, we will try to get that going. Here is my contact information if you need to get a hold of me. Here is Danny Gilbert's contact information if you need to contact her. And then here is Matt's information. I'll just let Matt talk a little bit about Azalea before we get into the heart of the presentation. Matt, take it away.
Yes, thank you, Mark. Appreciate it. And always good to be on with you on these webinars. We have many mutual clients together, and what you're going through on these presentations is very useful information. We appreciate everything that you do for the rural health communities. Like Mark said, my name is Matt Mayfield. I'm a sales exec here at Azalea Health. We are a cloud-based medical software system. We've been around since 2008, really made it our mission since then to partner with the rural health communities and really go out and help the underserved providers improve patient care and profitability. It's really been our mission. Since then, we've really blown up. We've got over 100 different RHC customers using our system throughout the country. You'll see me out and about in the Southeast. Mostly I have about 8 states here in the Southeast that I go out. I really like to sit down with healthcare executives like yourself, just learn more about your software use, your billing practice, to see what inefficiencies and headaches you might have that we might be able to help out with. I know the software, it's the last thing you want to think about. When you're going into work every day, when you're seeing patients, you want to focus on your patient care. And if there's, management on the line, which I know that's mostly what we have, you want to focus on running a practice. So we want to be able to provide a user-friendly system that's really catered to the rural health communities, and RHCs in particular, to make life easier for you. So would love to have a chance to speak with any of you. My contact information is listed there as well. We offer a number of different services in addition to our core EHR software and billing services. So, I know we get busy here at the end of the year, but, as we move into 2022, if you want to pick up the phone or shoot me an email and just learn about what we do, more about our partnerships with the rural health communities, I'd love to chat with you, and wish you all the best as we move into the new year. And thanks again, Mark, for allowing me to run through my spiel here.
Okay, Matt, no problem at all. Thank you. If you guys do have things that you want your EMR systems to do, let us know. I've got the great thing about Azalea is they listen to us. I know I've got a meeting tomorrow with management, and we're going to go over some things that you guys have suggested that you'd like to see in your EMR systems. And so if you've got something, shoot me an email, or we have a post in our Facebook group where I'm asking you that question as well. So just post in there what you want to see. So without further ado, let's get going. We are Healthcare Business Specialists. It's basically Danny and myself, the whole big two of us doing this. We do a lot of Medicare cost reports, emergency preparedness, program evaluations, and just Danny does a lot of TennCare quarterly reports as well. If you're in Tennessee and need that service, she is absolutely excellent at that. So if you are not a member of the RHC Information Exchange group yet, please do so. We're up to about 3,100 members last I checked, and it's a great place for you to ask questions, to get comments or information. We post a lot of information on there, probably more than you want to see, but we do post a lot on there to help you stay up to date. The disclaimer, everything is current as of today. We are recording this session. I hope we are recording this session. Danny, are we recording this session? Can you check that for me? Just make sure.
Yes, sir.
Okay, make sure I click the right button there. Sometimes I forget to do that. But we are recording the session today, and so you can go back and watch it. We're going to put it on our YouTube channel. We're going to put it in our Facebook group. The slide presentations are going to be, they're already in the Facebook group, and they're already on our website as well. So you'll have that. And it does, these long deadlines, as far as our cost reporting update, seems like it's so annoying because the cost reports last year were due on August the 2nd. Some of you, I'm going to scold you a little bit. Some of you did not get your stuff in. I think, Danny, do we have one that still hasn't got their stuff in for last year?
We've got a couple.
We have a couple that still have not got that in there. So Medicare is not going to pay you if you don't get these in. So get those in so we can file these cost reports and file them timely. You know, we've been doing this 35 years. We've never missed a deadline on somebody that's given us the information timely. Now, obviously, we can't do it if you don't send us the stuff on time to file it. So hopefully this year we will not have any extended deadlines, because I don't like the extended deadlines. I'd rather get it done in May 31st is when your 12/31 cost reports are typically due. I would rather get it done then. Why is the cost report important? If you don't file this cost report, they're going to ask you for every single penny of money they paid you during that fiscal year. So you're going to get a bill for, if you received 180 grand, you're going to get a bill for 180 grand. They want that money back from you until you file that cost report. Thankfully, you can make that go away by filing the cost report. So also your Medicare and Medicaid rates are based upon this. So there's a lot of money riding on filing these cost reports correctly. And this year, more than ever, with the Medicare rates dramatically going up, they're going up almost 30% from $87 in 2000. At the beginning of 2020, they were $87.52 per visit. It'll be going up to $113 on January 1, 2022. So that is a huge increase, and it's going to change the way we look at that cost report and the impact of that cost report. So hopefully a lot of you guys will be getting a big settlement this year, because on the 2020 cost report, that rate goes up. It went up April 1st to $100 per visit, when it would traditionally been, you know, $86, $87 per visit. So a lot of you guys will be seeing a big increase going down the road, though. When it gets up to $113 a visit, and after COVID sort of goes away, we hope, and your cost per visit sort of stabilized, because I know the cost reports that I saw in 2020, everybody's cost per visit skyrocketed, probably up 30% on average. Hopefully that's going to go down in the future, and that may impact your Medicare rates as well. So you also get paid for flu, pneumococcal, COVID vaccines, monoclonal antibodies that you give to the patients. You also get paid for that. Your Medicare bad debts, and there's a piece of preventive copays and deductibles. If you do a lot of preventive services, there's a pickup on some of your copays there. Do remember, you are responsible for filing an accurate cost report. We do not sign these cost reports. We expect you guys to know the rules. That's why we have all these webinars, to teach you what the rules are. That's why we ask you for all this information. We send you a 22-page checklist of information we need so that you can file an accurate and complete cost report. What is on the Medicare cost report? Number one is you're going to get a difference between your interim and final rate. And again, this may be large this year. Unfortunately, it may be large in future years in the wrong directions too. So it's a much more risky game we're playing than we did in the past. Before, Medicare just underpaid you guys like crazy. They were underpaying you guys by 40% or more. It was ridiculous. Medicare rural health clinic reimbursement was a bad deal for independent RHCs. I've been saying that since 2011. That's when it reached a tipping point to where fee-for-service was all of a sudden better than RHC reimbursement from Medicare. Now, Medicaid, I mean, was always in most states was much, much better. And that's why you stayed a rural health clinic. Your Medicare bad debts, if sorry, Mark Lynn doesn't pay you that $233 deductible at the beginning of the year, you can put that on the cost report. And if you make reasonable collection efforts, then Medicare will reimburse you back 65% of that in addition to what you would have normally received. Your flu shots for Medicare, you'll put that on the cost report. You don't bill it to Medicare fee for service, but you put it on the cost report, and the actual cost per flu shot is usually around, $45, $50 is what the WIFLE does benchmarking reports, and that's what I normally see for that, around $45, $50 per flu shot. For pneumococcal, because Prevnar 13 and 23 cost so much, I see your pneumococcal shots to being $300, $250, $300, pretty much the average for those. So they pay you extremely well for that. Your COVID vaccines and your monoclonal antibodies, you will get paid for the administration of those. There's no cost, direct cost of COVID vaccines and MABs because the government is taking care of it, but you will get paid for the administrative cost of administering those two things on the cost report. And for your COVID vaccines and your MABs, you will include, and this is weird, you say, Mark's wrong, didn't know, we've never done it this way, but you will include your Medicare Advantage plan patients on the cost report for this 2021 year. Now, for 2022, you will go back to the way you did it before, billing it to the Medicare Advantage or replacement plans, and it will not go on the cost report in 2022. But for 2021, you are going to put those on there. You're going to keep separate logs for those and put that on your cost report as well. So start making sure you have these logs that you need for this. And in copays, that's going to be something directly from the PSNR. So here is our process that we go through. This, of course, this 12/31/2021 is your year end for most of the clients that we deal with. That cost report, as of this moment, is due May 31st, 2022. If this Omicron thing takes off like they say it's going to, then they may delay that again. But as of right now, let's start planning on trying to get everything done by May 31st, 2022. With that in mind, we have been sending out emails with our cost report agreements, and we send out a HIPAA agreement as well. We also ask for a retainer. We typically ask for half of what the cost report fee will be. And if you can get that in before 12/31/2021, that would be great, because we'd like to book that revenue for this year. So, and I think it helped me with my Social Security. I'm getting old. I'm worrying about what my Social Security number will be. So the higher it is, I think the more I get in Social Security. So not saying I'm retiring anytime soon, but Mark's getting tired. But we'll see how that goes. So if you but do sign that stuff to us, get back your HIPAA agreement. There is HIPAA information in there. On your flu shot, we're going to ask you to put the patient's name, put their HIC number on there, and that is PHI. So we have to protect this information. If you want us to do your cost report, we've never done it before, or if you're brand new and we set you up this year and you're not seeing that HIPAA agreement and that RHC agreement, let us know, and Danny will get that out to you as soon as we possibly can. So here are the steps to get this cost report up and going. Number one, sign that BA and cost report agreement, and then send that back to us with the retainer would be nice. And then in January 20th, we're going to do another webinar. We're not going to go in detail today. We're just going to tell you some basic information about what really has to happen before December 31st of this year. But we're not going to go into detail. January 20th, we'll go into detail. We'll get you, let's go through the schedule here. We'll get the cost report checklist. We'll get a new checklist on January 20th, 2022 for you guys to use. We'll tell you about how to get your PSNR and today we're going to show you how to get into IDM system and make Danny a authorized cost report prepare, because our goal this year is to do 50% of our cost reports electronically. And we did several of them last year. Danny started going through what's called MCREF and filing them electronically. It's going to cut down on a lot of the paperwork that you get. You're not going to be required to, we won't have to mail stuff and FedEx it to you, and you sign it and then you mail it. It will be filed electronically, just sort of like the PRF portal. I think we've gotten more and more used to that, and we will file those cost reports, as many as we possibly can, electronically. And then once you get that filed, you should get a tentative settlement within 90 days of filing. And like I said, this year, I think some of you guys will get a much bigger settlement than you've ever received, just because the rates have gone up so much more this year. And I think your cost per visit is still pretty high. And then Medicare will do a desk review within 1 year. They'll issue something called an NPR, Notice of Program Reimbursement, and that sort of final settles your cost report for you. So that's the process you go. What we do is I put together a dashboard on the cost reports that I prepare, and I just compare this year to the last year and make sure that I'm not missing something. And so that's a good way to sort of see where it gives you a real quick dashboard on how you did to the previous year. And so that's what we use to make sure we're not missing anything. We do use a portal. It's called Canopy. And in Canopy, what you can do is you can upload information securely. That way we don't, and people can't see your W-2s, they can't see your employer ID number. And that's one thing that bothers me about this, the presentation that Nathan and Sarah did yesterday. Not them, but those rules about the surprise billing, is they're going to want you to put your EIN number on every one of those GFSs or GFAs, whatever those things are called, this good faith estimates, GFE, the good faith estimates. They want to put an EIN number. Well, you can't find EIN numbers because those can be used for fraud very easily. And so that's one thing that worries me. So that's why we try to use a secure portal, because we're dealing with PHI, and you can email us the stuff. If you do email it to us, then make it protected and put a security code on it and a password on it for us to see it, so we can protect those clients' information as well. The portal, again, is we have an outside vendor called Canopy that we keep up with all of our clients. It's designed for tax accountants, but it works very well, and it does protect that information. So when you see something from Canopy that's asking you to set up a portal, that's from us. It's going to be okay. It's not, we're not in Asia somewhere trying to scam you. That's legitimately us. And then what you can do, it's very easy to upload your files on here. You just click on the file, upload it, and then once you do that, you'll see it in your client portal here. So very easy to do. So, and again, this year we're gonna do something different. I know Danny's always, I am old, I am grumpy. When the computer doesn't work, I tend to just beat it a little while. And then like today, actually today's webinar, we got on late because it was not working. So I beat it for a little while, and then I turned it on and turned it off and it worked. But so what we're going to try to do is do 50% of our cost reports electronically. Danny, do you think we can get 50% of them done electronically this year?
I hope so.
You hope so?
I hope so. I think so.
All right. I think we can. All right. I'm going to let Danny take over here just a second. Well, we've got one more slide, then we'll let Danny take over. So what will be different this year? You have to authorize Danny as your cost report preparer, or whoever does your cost report. Well, you don't have to, obviously, this is really directed to our clients, but if you're working with David James from North American, or Julie Quinn from HSA, or whoever your cost report preparer is, Jeff Johnson and Jeff Bromschreiber from Withley, all those people are fantastic and know these RHC cost reports extremely well. So whoever you are, you want to make them your authorized cost report preparer. With us, please make Danny that person. And then that way we'll be able to file it electronically. For Medicaid, we may have to do some workarounds on that. I know in Tennessee, they're going to allow us to email them the Medicaid cost reports as well. And the good news about Tennessee is we can now file low utilization or no utilization cost reports with them. So that's going to really help our pediatric offices that will not have to file a full cost report going forward. Before, they'd always told us you had to have it, and so we did it. The bad news, I don't know, at least for me, is you're not going to get that leather-bound cost report, you know, with all the tabs in it and how I made it so pretty in the past. If we file it electronically, everything is going to come in PDF format. It will be in your client portal, and so you're not gonna. We're not going to be sending and FedExing all that stuff to you. Now, we may have to send out some stuff for Medicaid, depending on which state you're in. So that's sort of the plan that we hope to pull off. Danny, I will turn this over to you, the IDM system, and you can explain what people need to do to get you set up or to get their cost report preparer set up and to pull that PSNR report.
Sure. All right. Now, some of you may already know all about this, but I would say the majority of our clients especially do not. So this is going to be kind of new and scary, but it's okay. It's not as bad as it looks. This portion of the webinar, we're going to talk about the CMS Identity Management System, or IDM. And what IDM is it's an established enterprise-wide identity management solution. The goal of the system was so that end users of all business applications that integrate with the solution can use a single set of credentials to access each application. IDM governs access to CMS systems by managing the creation of user IDs and passwords. You set up multi-factor authentication, and then you can get assigned roles within CMS applications to those individuals who have accounts. CMS did publish a user guide, which is 79 pages long. I tried to condense it down into 13 slides, so I'm not going to cover everything, but I'm going to cover the ones that are most relevant for cost reporting. The objectives that I'm going to cover during this portion of the webinar is how to create a new user account. We're going to go over the self-service dashboard, learn how to request a role for a new application, how to add attributes to an existing role that you may already have, and then how to view and cancel any requests that you send. Before we begin, there are a couple questions that you'll want to answer internally. First being, does someone within your clinic already have access to the IDM? More than likely, I would say no, but there are some clinics that I've helped that did have access, they just didn't realize it. If you're unsure about if your clinic has been set up already, feel free to reach out to me and I can help you find that out. I can go in and see, try to request a role, and if your clinic's not in there, then we know that there's not one, it hasn't been set up yet. If your clinic's already set up within the IDM system, it will probably be best and easier to get with the individual who has access and work through this section together, just because it's tied to an individual person. So it's easier if there's already one set up, you don't have to go through the process of setting someone else up. If your clinic is not already set up with the system, I recommend having the owner set it up. Not quite yet, Mark. The owner set it up because the user credentials are linked to an individual person and it uses his or her personal information. So it's best to give that particular access to someone who will be with the clinic for a long time, usually the owner. The first topic we're going to cover will be how to create a new user account. Obviously, if your clinic already has access, this topic's irrelevant to you unless you want to add another user such as an office manager. The next 4 slides we will cover, we'll go over setting it up and what information you'll need. And I've tried to include screenshots of the process so that you can make sure you're in the right place. And on the previous slide, it shows you the address, the web address, the web address for the system, and then if you haven't had an account set up, you're going to click that new user registration button. Once you click that button, the user registration window is going to pop up, and in that window you'll want to enter the personal information for the individual whose name will be associated with the account. After filling out all these details that it asks for, you'll want to review the terms and conditions. So you'll click that little blue box, you'll agree to them, and then you'll click the next button. Once you do that, it's going to ask for the user contact information. You'll want to enter the contact information for that individual whose name you just associated with the account. And then you'll click next. The user account credentials information is where you're going to create your user ID and password. You'll also select a security question from the box and enter your answer, and then you'll submit that form and click the return button. Once you do that, it's going to return you all the way back to the sign-in window where you can then sign into your account. And once you start going through that, there's going to be a multi-factor authentication as an additional layer of security that functions as like a second password. Email is automatically set up as the default, but you can add additional factors such as a telephone number at a later time. All right, the screen that Mark's on now is the IDM SelfService Dashboard. It provides access to functions that allow users to manage their user profile, request new applications, and manage roles for applications to which they have already been granted access. Quickly going over the layout, Mark, if you'll slide back to the... You're okay, you're fine. The IDM self-service home button at the top left of the page, if you click that at any given time, it's going to return you to this dashboard. Then the IDM self-service function buttons, which are these 4 main buttons that you can see, provide the user access to the functions that are accessed through the IDM dashboard. Then the little person up at the top right that has the number 2, this is my account, so I kind of screenshot it. I've got 2, but this is your request counter that shows the number of pending requests that you have submitted or that needs to be addressed. And then lastly, the drop-down menu, so the little arrow next to my name will display the user's identity and provide access to the logout function. So you would click on that and it would tell you that you could log out. So that's kind of like an overview of what the dashboard looks like once you are logged in. Alrighty, the next topic we're going to cover will be how to request a role for a new application. More specifically in our situation is getting set up with access to the PSNR STAR application. The PSNR STAR system accumulates statistical and reimbursement data, and which is summarized in various reports, which are used by providers to prepare Medicare cost reports. So that's how you get your PSNR report that we use. And then MACs also use it when they're doing their audit and settlement, because they'll pull the PSNR again to see if any claims had gone through and been paid from the time that we prepared it to the time that they settle it. To request access to the application, you'll want to click the role request button that was on that dashboard, and then you follow the instructions on this slide to select the correct application. So up there, there'll be a little drop-down menu, and you'll select PSNR and STAR. If you don't see that application in the listing, it means you've already have access set up. So once you've set up access with an application, that application is no longer there for you to be able to request access to again. This would come into place for those who have already set up an account with the IDM system, have been using it, and have gone through this process. When selecting your role, so everything's going to populate. Once you select the application, then the role section will populate. You'll want to choose PSNR security official or the PSNR user role. Each clinic's only allowed to have 1 person assigned to the PSNR security official role, and I usually recommend this being the owner or someone who's going to be there with a long time. If you're the office manager and are wanting to set up access for yourself and the owner already has an account of their own, you'll want to choose the PSNR user role. Once you select the role being requested, the remote identity proofing terms and conditions will appear. And Mark, you can go to the next slide. And what that is the remote identity proofing is the process that is used to confirm a person's identity. So remember when I said this is related to just one individual person, they're actually going to go through the process of confirming your identity. There are 3 different types of verification. There's online proofing, which uses Experian's computer-based verification service. There's phone proofing, which uses Experian's telephone-based verification service. And then manual proofing, which is a proofing procedure that is performed by an application help desk individual. And the way that it works is they'll start out with the online proofing. If they can't verify you that way, they'll go to telephone. If not that way, then they'll go through the help desk. So it's going to be dependent on how easy they can verify you on which step that will be. Once that's been completed, the attributes menu will be shown so that you can select the required attributes from the menu for your role request. Review the information you enter and make sure to add a justification for the request. I usually put like cost report preparation or something along those lines for your justification. Okay. The next topic, and I apologize, I'm going through this fast. We only have so much time, so if I lose you, just feel free to reach out to me. The next topic we're going to cover will be how to add attributes to an existing role. To view your roles, you'll want to click the Manage My Roles button that was on the IDM SelfService Dashboard. And once you click that, it'll show this little top section that says Manage My Roles. So I've got two. I've got a PSNR user role and then the MCREF cost report filer role. The view will show all your approved roles and the details of each role. If you're the security official, this is where you'll also have access to add additional attributes to an existing role. So once you select on the role, and that's kind of what the second screenshot is, you'll be able to see all the details. And if you scroll all the way to the bottom, there'll be a button that says modify roles. I don't have that because I'm not a security official, but this is where it will be. Okay. Once you select that button, you'll be able to modify role attributes for your clinic. This is also the place that you'll be able to add additional CCN numbers if you have more than one clinic who share the same tax ID. I know we have a handful of clients that have multiple CCN numbers that share a tax ID, and so you're going to want to make sure that you've included all of those in the attribute section, or else you won't be able to pull the PSNR for them. You're also going to have to put a justification statement as you're doing the modifications. Again, I would put cost report preparation, and then you can submit the changes that way. And then the last topic we're going to cover is how to view and cancel role requests. To view your request, you'll click the My Request button that was on the IDM SelfService Dashboard. This view will show you all your pending requests, which is the screenshot up at the top. This is my requests that are currently outstanding. If you're the PSNR security official, you'll also see any requests that are pending your approval in this section. There will be different action icons on the far right so that you can view details, cancel request, or approve request. On mine, you can't see approve request because, as I said before, I'm not a security official, so I don't have that function. If you click the view details icon, it brings up all the details of the clinic and the request that you submitted. From this view, you can also cancel requests, so you can cancel it in either view. And that's what this second screenshot is once I clicked view details, it shows me all the details of what I'm requesting. Once your account has been set up, you'll want to consider adding, as Mark said, your cost report preparer both as a PSNR user and as an MCREF authorized cost report preparer. That's two different roles. If you notify your cost report preparer that your account has been set up, we can go in and log into our account and request those roles on our end. Once we submit our request, so once I submit a request to you, the security official will get an email notification, and it will show in the My Request section of their account so that they can approve or deny it. As I said, I know this is a lot of information thrown at you, but if you have any questions or need assistance, feel free to reach out to me and I'll help you and get you on the right track. On a separate but related note, for those of you who are already set up within the IDM system and have been pulling your PSNR reports previously on your own, make sure to note that this year they're going to be a little bit different. Because the capped rate went up effective April 1st, you're going to need to make sure to break apart the visits and the bill or the claims for each service period when the rates were different. And you can kind of see on the little notes section, I've kind of made notes. So when you're pulling your PSNR, you can actually put in service dates or service periods. So for period 1, you're going to do January 1st through March 31st. And then for period 2, you're going to do April 1st through the end of the year, because that's when that second rate was in effect. I think, Mark, that covers, that's a lot, but that covers my section.
Okay, Danny, thank you very much. That was very helpful. Do they still, in the past, they always make you change your password every 60 days, and if you didn't, you lost access. I take it that's probably still the case?
It is, however, I've noticed if I don't remember to go in and change it, just the next time that I go to log in, it'll have me reset it.
Okay, so
So
we
it
don't
won't,
have
you won't
to dig
lose,
apart.
I have not lost access, and I do forget to go in every so often and update it, but they will require you to change your password.
Okay, all right, well, that's good. That's good news. That's a lot better. It used to, if you didn't do it every 60 days, they'd kick you out and you'd have to start all over again. And that's why it was a hard time getting PS and Rs at that point. So, okay, perfect. All right. Thank you, Danny. I appreciate that. And then let's go into what's new. And more money, more problems. I think I have this slide in every one of our presentations on PRF reporting and on cost reporting. But like Danny said, the rates have gone up dramatically. In the past, probably 99% of the cost reports we prepare, everybody was above the cap, well above the cap. I think the average cost per visit was probably around $130 per visit. And the caps were at $86 or $87 a visit. Again, that's Medicare was shortchanging our RHCs big time on the amount of money they paid us. So now that the rates are going up, I mean, that's great. We're going to have to, we want to have more accurate cost reports than we ever have, because really, frankly, it just, once we get to a certain point, we could work all we want, but we weren't getting any more money because we were capped at $87. Now, if we can get up to $113, we're going to have to work till we get to $113 per visit. So accurate cost reports are more important than ever. Make sure you try to capture all of the costs that you possibly can. Go ahead and pay your bills by the end of the year. I know we're supposed to be in accrual basis accounting, but most of the small clinics that I deal with, I mean, they got 3 or 4 people, and there's not accountants around to be doing full-blown accrual-based accounting like you would with a hospital system. So try to get as much cost as you possibly can into this cost report so that we can get your rate up as high as possible. The potential for large paybacks will be greater than ever going forward, because when these rates get higher, if the MAC sets the rate towards that maximum and you don't hit that, then you may be paying back, you know, several $1,000s back to them. So again, our job has gotten a lot harder just to make sure that we capture everything. You can see how these rates are going up over the 8-year period. We're going from $87.52 up to $190 per visit. Now, most rural health clinics, the independent RHCs that we work with, will not get anywhere near that. Now, for you guys that are provider-based and now you're subject to the cap, then I think eventually you guys will be able to get to this 190 rate. But for our rural health clinics, like I said, the average that I'm seeing cost per visit is around $130 per visit. And obviously that's going to be a huge increase from $87.52 per visit. So that's great news for everybody. So let's go into some of our year-end things that you have to do in order to get your money. Number one is, if you want to claim Medicare bad debts, you got that sorry mark, Lynn, they did not pay that $233 deductible, you need to write that account off by the end of the year. Now, you have to make sure you try to collect for at least 120 days. You can't just go in and write me off. If I came in and saw you in September or October, say October, I came in to see you in October, and 120 days from the date of first bill, it hasn't happened yet, then if you write that off, Medicare is not going to allow it. They're going to disallow it. So if you've got accounts receivable for Medicare patients and it's over 120 days old from date of first bill, that you've tried to work it, you've sent 3 or 4 different statements to them, you've tried to call them, you've worked that claim and it's not going to pay, then you can write that off, but you need to write it off by 12/31/2021 to get it on this cost report. Because if you wait till the end of May and start working on your Medicare bad debt listing and write off those accounts in May, it's not going to go on the 12/31 cost report. It's going to go 12/31/2021 cost report. It's going to go on the 12/31/2022 cost report. So you're going to wait another year to get that money. So this is the most important thing that you have to do by the end of the year. Is you don't have to fill this Exhibit 2 form. That's the old form that you've used before. It's got 10 columns in it. You don't have to get that completed, but you do have to get that account written off of your accounts receivable by 12/31 of this year. So go look at your look at your accounts receivable, look at your Medicare claims specifically. If there's claims that you've worked for at least 120 days from date of first bill, now is the time to do that. If you're accruing bonuses to maybe your owner of the clinic, and this applies to owners of the clinic, maybe you have partners, maybe you have people that are ownership of that clinic, and you accrue a bonus to them, you have to liquidate that within 75 days of year end. This works like if you have corporations where you have percentages of ownerships of the corporation, that will apply to those people. If they're not one of those owners, you can accrue an expense to them and pay that within 1 year of that. So I think of like retirement plans. Maybe you set up a retirement plan, you don't fund it, and the IRS will allow you to fund it all the way up until August of the next year. You could do those sort of things and fund those and account that for this year's cost report. Remember to sign up I forgot to change it. It used to be IDM, it's IDM now, but make sure you set that roll up for Danny. You don't have to do it by 12/31/2021, but definitely put it on your list so it gets done. Danny, how long does it normally take for this process to work that you showed us just now?
It's actually gotten a lot quicker. I couldn't give you an actual number, but I know before they used to go through a whole process where you'd have to send the CP 575 from the IRS to verify. But now that they've done online proofing, I'm not sure. I mean, I know it's sped it up, but I don't know how long.
Okay, so it's
I would probably give yourself a month.
Okay. So,
worst case scenario.
All right, so let's try to get that done by January 31st of 2022. If you can, that would be great. That way we can have everything set up to file your cost report. And then the work paper submission to us, if we can get it by the end of March, that would be great. If we can get it the 1st of March, that's even better. I know there's a lot of stuff you have to sort of wait on because you've got W-2s, you've got to get your trial balance, your accountant is working on it. Sometimes you got tax returns you want to do as well. But if you can get that to us around that date, that would be great. Don't wait till May the 30th and send it to us. That's put stress on everybody. So, and then if you do think you're going to have a productivity standard issue, which during COVID, we can request a productivity standard waivers, get that to us early and we'll submit that. And I know we had to submit a couple of them last year, and it was a pretty easy process. They actually approved them very quickly. So we want you to do that as well. Just a quick reminder, this came out in my email this morning. I thought, I better remind people, you've got 15 days to spend that $49K that you got last year. You got it on May the 20th of 2020. This is the RHC testing fund, the COVID-19 testing fund that's administered by the National Association of Rural Health Clinics. So you don't have to report to them how you spend it, but you do have to spend it by December 31st, 2021. That $49K has to be spent. So keep good records. They may ask for it in the future, but it's not like the PRF fund portal where you have to submit that. And then that $100K that you received, you have until the end of 2022 to pay to use that $100K up as well. So $49K due in 15 days, you have to spend that somewhere. So Medicaid, do remember too, each state is different. I know we deal with Alabama, Kentucky, and Tennessee mainly because that's where we're situated. And just remember that all of these changes will affect Medicaid. I know Alabama and Kentucky only require one cost report one time, but you really have to pay attention to that because your rates for Medicaid are set based upon that forever. In Tennessee, the rates are based upon just the number of visits. They don't even actually use the cost report itself. They use the number of visits to set their rates for that. But the other 47 states are all different. So look into that and find out how this will affect it, and work with somebody in your state that really knows that Medicaid cost. I know California, they have such weird cost reports. I always send them to Steve Rousseau and Whiffley. I'm like, guys, I don't know how to do this. You guys live here, y'all do it, and they do a great job with that. So here is where you can get your information. Rural Health Clinic CMS.com cost reporting. This is where we'll put the webinar information for this particular webinar and all of the questionnaires and checklists that we send out will be on here for you guys to pull your cost report together. Here's what we did for last year. These will all be updated by January the 20th, and this 22-page PDF will probably add a couple pages to it based upon some of the COVID stuff that's out there. Cheat sheets for your counting your visits will be in there as well. Here's how the cost reporting time frames go. You have 5 months after your fiscal year ends. So if you're not a 12/31 year end, maybe you're a June 30 year end, that cost report will be due November the 30th. So keep that in mind. If we send in the cost report to the MAC, they have 30 days to accept it. And that's a good thing about the client portal is you'll know very quickly if they've accepted your cost report submission. And then you have, you basically within 90 days of you submitting the cost report, you should get a tentative settlement from Medicare if they owe you some money, and they're required to final settle it within 1 year. I know dealing with Palmetto and Novitas, they've been very good about settling these cost reports much quicker than they used to and getting your money settled out. COVID vaccine and monoclonal injections, that is something different for this year. And remember, I said at the very beginning that COVID vaccine and monoclonal injections go on the cost report, so you don't bill those out. And for 2021, you're going to put the Medicare Advantage and replacement replacement plan patients on the cost report, and that's just for COVID vaccine and monoclonal injections. It's not for flu and pneumococcal. Flu and pneumococcal does not change. It's going to be original Medicare, red, white, and blue Medicare. That's all you're going to put on there for flu and pneumococcal. But for 2021 only, you're going to put Medicare Advantage patients on that cost report. And then in 2022, it's going to change again, where you're going to bill for COVID and monoclonal injections or IVs. You're going to bill those to the Medicare Advantage plans in 2022. So do keep up with your cost of any type of supplies you have, especially if you're doing those injections there. You're probably going to have some cost related to that. Any type of direct expenses you have. You shouldn't have any direct expenses related to the actual monoclonal antibodies or the COVID vaccines, because those are given to you for free. What you may want to do is, because fee for service, they pay you very well for this. It's $40 fee for service and $450 for administering the MABs. You may want to do that outside the rural health clinic if you have a separate location. Maybe you're a hospital system and you have locations that aren't RHCs. You may want to do it in those locations if you're going to start doing those types of things as well. So those are some of the new stuff there. Again, here's just reminders of the advantage, because that's confusing to me and it's confusing to our clients as well. Is we're going to put these advantage patients in 2021 on there, and 2022 it's just going to be original Medicare red, white, and blue for that. So those are that. Here is something that Patty Harper put together for us about a log for you guys to use to keep up with these vaccines. So I would definitely use this. It's got the date that you gave the injection, the MBI number for the patient, and then there's some different types of medications that you have. I guess we need to, I don't see a separate one for a booster there, but if you got the booster for Moderna or whatever, you can sort of work with this schedule and make that work for you. Here's the basic information for your flu and pneumococcal. Make sure you keep those schedules for patient name, MBI number, and date of service is what you're looking for that. And then here's some stuff that's in our work paper set is your Medicare influenza logs. You want to use that. There's your pneumococcal log you want to keep up with. There's a COVID-19 log as well. Do time studies. It's going to be important, especially for these COVID-19 vaccines and monoclonal injections, whether you do it subcutaneously or whether you do it through an IV injection. keep up, or the infusion, you want to keep up with that, because your time, I know my daughter, she went and she had COVID and she got a monoclonal antibody injection, and it took about 2.5 hours to do that, because I think the infusion itself took about an hour, and then they watched her for another hour. So the whole process took about 2.5 hours by the time they got her through that. So you may want to keep up with your time on that, and then we'll put that on the cost report, make sure you get reimbursed all that you can for that. I know for the COVID vaccines, they always make you wait 15 minutes after it, just in case you have an allergic reaction to that. And then here's what your cost reports for your independent RHCs is already set up to handle this. So it's set up already. I'm not sure if the provider-based cost reports have been changed yet. I know at the time of the NARHC meeting, they hadn't been changed yet, and Nathan Ball was working with them to get that changed. So I haven't seen the new forms yet. But here's what your cost report will look like, and there's where you see it's been set up already in there for your COVID-19 and your monoclonal antibody products are set up on there. So it works out good. There's the cost report checklist from last year. Again, this will be updated. And some of the key things here: get us a good trial balance of your expenses, or if you've got a tax return, that will work. That'll work okay. I'd rather have a trial balance, or if you've got a profit and loss statement, that would work great. Your CPT frequency report, I prefer to see a CPT frequency report from you by provider, so that we can count the number of CPT codes and get a good accurate count, because it's so complex now. It's hard to know what's a part of that all-inclusive rate and what's not, because telehealth, CCM services are not a part of this rate. So we have to do certain things on the cost report to exclude that cost. A little update on CCM, the rate has gone up to $76 for every 20 minutes of service on CCM for 2022. So that's good news for that. If you're not doing CCM services yet, you may want to call ChartSpan or one of the CCM companies to get that started, because those rates have gone up as well. But do a CPT frequency report. That would be, that is what we would like to see, and try to get that done right after the end of the year, so that you don't, sometimes things close out and don't let you change anything after a certain date in your computer system. So make sure you do that. W-2s, if you're a 1231 year in, we'd like to see you send those W-2s to us. Write down the number of hours that person worked, and then write down what their job was, or what their job was supposed to be when they worked there. Don't write on there, no longer here. That doesn't help me any. But we do need to know if they're an MA, if they're a nurse practitioner, a physician, if they're a clerk, if they're an office administrator. We need to know that so we can put it in the right place on the cost report. Your flu shots, we talked about that already. And your invoices. Make sure you send us invoices so we know how much you paid per shot for your influenza and your pneumococcal shots. Your PSNR report, Danny will get that for you if you will make her that authorized person there. Your bad debt listing, go ahead and write those accounts off now, so that you can fill that Exhibit 2 out and submit that. We'll have to do it in Excel. Don't do it by hand. Do an Excel spreadsheet, because we will have to put that in the portal and submit that to Medicare. Related party transactions. If you own the building, if your wife owns the building and you rent from that person, that's going to be a related party transaction. So identify those things for us, and we'll have to treat them specially on the cost report. If you employ your spouse, if you employ your children, let us know that you're doing that, so we can notify the government that we have a related party transaction as well. And then some of the other things here, I don't think we probably need to talk about a whole lot of these right now. But do put down who was the person responsible for signing the cost report and their email address, because we're going to put a little check mark by that. And when we electronically submit it, that will be the person who is responsible for this cost report. And like I said, it's not going to be us. If you do get interim payments, one good thing that's happened in the last few years is people are getting interim settlements from Medicare. That's great. When you get it, what you got to do is remember to let whoever's preparing your cost report know that you received an interim settlement for that year, because if you don't include that on the cost report, guess what? You end up having to pay that money back and basically double it, because we understate the Medicare payments, and it doesn't work very well. So make sure that you do that. This is us crying that we have to pay back Medicare 15 or 20 grand because we forgot to put a $7,500 payment on the cost report. So here is a form that we send out called interim lump settlement payments. Make sure you look for those and give those to us. Here's what the letter will look like. They'll change your rate a lot of times, and they'll give you a lump sum payment, and you just want to look for which year it is. So that's very important. Like I said, that always causes problems if we don't see that. We have no way of knowing that you got that lump sum payment, and then you will end up having to pay back money a lot of times. Because the MACs are very good about changing the rates every year and updating them and making lump sum payments to you. If your things change, like your Medicare flu and pneumococcal go way down, sometimes that causes you to have to pay money back. Medicare visits can change dramatically. I know we have a lot of people that start doing nursing home visits for mental health or for whatever they're doing in the nursing homes, and their Medicare visits skyrocket. That can really cause you to have some paybacks to Medicare if that changes. Bad debts, if you don't claim as many bad debts, if you don't tell the cost report preparer about your interim settlements, that can really cause you to do that. So we have, tell you what, I'm probably gonna wait and save the 3 types of RHCs here, cost reports, for later on, because we're at 4 minutes. Danny, do we have any questions in the question box?
Yeah, most of them were like personal, so I just responded to those. There were 2 that other people could benefit from, though. One of them I'll direct to you is I thought the monoclonal antibody injections were to Part B if we did them during non-RHC hours, and if they have an Advantage plan, we bill to Medicare Part B instead of the HMO that they have.
If it's done during non-rural health clinic hours, then yes. I mean, that's the way. I don't know if you can. I don't know the part about billing them to the Medicare Advantage plan. I thought you had to bill those to original Medicare, but I'm not a biller, so I wouldn't trust that answer. I would double check with whoever's doing your billing to make sure that's the right answer for that. But yeah, if it's done during non-RHC hours, just make sure to exclude that time on the cost report. You don't want to be commingling and double dipping in that situation. But yes, that's perfectly fine.
Okay, and another one I think, Mark, that you should address. It says just a comment and question on slide 59 about paying Medicare back. If you start a contract with VaxCare, you will no longer be purchasing flu or pneumonia vaccines, so you won't get reimbursed from Medicare for those either, correct?
That's correct. That VaxCare is always an issue. So absolutely, VaxCare is a problem. So that's right. Okay.
And then the other one, Louise asks, is the IDM system the same login that you reset the PECOS and NPPS login? And I responded to her, but just so everybody else knows, I think they are the same, at least it used to be. I'd give it a try, and if it doesn't work, then you can create an account. The IDM system is not going to allow an individual to create more than 1 account. So if you go in and put in your name, first, last name, address, email address, stuff like that, it's not going to let you create a new account if you already have one. So if you get an error, then you kind of know one's probably already set up. Again, if you don't know, you can shoot me an email and I'd be happy to look at it for you. So.
Okay. Yeah. And okay. So, and that was all of the questions in?
Yeah. Yeah, Stacy said if you
I would have assumed that there would be a lot more than that. So one thing I just will remind you on the 3 types of cost reports, if you have a no utilization or a low utilization, let's talk about a low utilization cost report, which if you have less than payments of $50,000 from Medicare, you can file a low utilization cost report. The problem with that though is you're not going to get paid any settlement. You're not going to get paid any flu. any pneumococcal, any monoclonal, any of that stuff, you're not going to get paid. You're just accepting that whatever you receive from Medicare as your total payment. Now, the cost report itself will be a lot easier to file, and your professional fees for doing it will be a lot less, but you need to think about that. And then also, you got to think about getting your rate set, because if your rate is set at $87.52, now it will probably stay at $87.52 if you file a low utilization cost report. So a lot of people that in the past were filing low utilization cost reports, we may be filing full cost reports for you this year so that we can get you that rate reset to $113 per visit. So that's the thing I want to remind you about that. I will, this weekend sometime, I will sit down and go over and do a pop-up YouTube presentation on the difference between low and no and full cost reports, and it'll take about 5 or 10 minutes to put that together. And then that way we will not be infringing too much on your time today. Thank you for joining us today. Danny, thank you for giving your information to us. It was very helpful. And everybody have great holidays and Merry Christmas. And we will see you very soon. Thank you for everything. Bye, everybody.